Okay. Hi everyone. Today on the show I have Matt Strippelhoff from Red Hawk Technologies to come on the show. Every now and then I go out there looking for entrepreneurs who I feel they have something good that they can share with you, so you can take the information and go ahead and implement what you learn from them in your business. So Matt, go ahead, introduce yourself to my audience.
Sure. Well, as Owen had stated, my name is Matt Strippelhoff. I'm from Red Hawk Technologies, and I'm one of the founding partners. Red Hawk Technologies is a small web application development firm in northern Kentucky. We do a lot of work for clients in the greater Cincinnati area as well as abroad. We've got clients on the West Coast, clients all over the United States. And I think what we'll probably be talking about in this interview is the development of one of our applications. And we are a professional services firm first, but we're also looking at ways to generate recurring revenue streams that doesn't require us to trade hours for dollars. And that is the biggest challenge for the professional services firm, is that you're limited as to how much revenue you can generate based on how many people you have on staff. And so we're trying to really stretch our wings, pardon the pun there, being Red Hawk, and we've developed some interesting applications, and Timehawk is one of them.
Okay, and the thing is, the Timehawk is actually an integration, an add-on to Basecamp, and I just want to get behind like the story of how did you guys figure out that Basecamp needed exactly your add-on.
Sure. Well, as I think is true in most cases when you're looking at a product innovation or a new application that's developed, a lot of times the vision for that originates out of a need. And in our case, being a professional services firm, we adopted Basecamp about 2 years ago. Yeah. And started using it to manage all of our projects for our clients. And we love Basecamp. We're huge fans. We think 37 Signals has done a fabulous job with that product.
Yes.
However, the business that we're in, we really are, I'll say it one more time, trading hours for dollars. And so we need to keep track of that information. And Basecamp has a mechanism that you can use to enter time against a project. But we didn't really get the types of reports that we needed to out of their system. And what Basecamp was also lacking was the ability to add estimates. And so as a business owner, I really need to be able to measure the effectiveness of my staff, and how accurately we're quoting projects, et cetera, and so that we can adjust the way that we're doing business over time and improve our services and continue to add value to our clients. So Timehawk was an application that we developed. It was about a year in development and over 3 or 4 months in beta testing for our own purposes first, and then we started rolling it out to offer it out to any other Basecamp users. But we really had two primary needs. We wanted a better way to enter time, a little more intuitive with a ticker, a time tracker, that I could turn on and off and track time and put that against specific tasks and to-do items in Basecamp. So that was a need. But again, for me as a business owner, one of my primary objectives was to develop something that would allow me to generate reports so I can see how we're performing against an estimated scope of work. Okay. And so Timehawk, leveraging Basecamp's API, we developed the add-on so that it would allow us to do those things. So I can now enter rates for a company, a client. So we can have different rates for different clients. I can change those rates for specific employees, can have different hourly rates. I can even have different rates for different to-do lists on projects, which creates a lot of flexibility. And it's very easy to use. And for us, we have a blended bill rate. And so what I'll do is I'll go in on the client level in Timehawk and assign a bill rate to that client. And that applies to all of my staff and all of our projects and every task that we perform. I then can put in an estimate against the scope of work, and as my staff is entering time, including vendors, I can generate reports on demand so I can see at any point in time in the life cycle of a project what the health of that project is, which is critical, because if we're spending too much time in one area and not enough in the other, I need to know that as soon as possible so that I can adjust client expectations, or I can sit down with a vendor or my staff and figure out what's going wrong. Are we changing the scope of work and we're not going back to the client for approval? What's happening to the project? And so Timehawk was definitely driven from a need that we had for our business to enhance what we were getting out of Basecamp, and that's really what drove that project.
So I understand how you guys had the need, within your company for such a tool, but okay, now you know that you have that personal need. How did you guys go out and actually figure out that the public had the need for it? Other Basecamp users, how did you guys figure that it might be something that would resonate with other Basecamp users?
Well, the first step was looking to see what might be available as existing add-ons for Basecamp. And just through that effort and investigating what was available, looking at forums and just checking social media channels like Twitter, doing keyword-based searches there, Google searches. We wanted to find out what people were saying about the products that were available. And what we started to notice was that there was, while there already are some other time tracking add-ons, there were some gaps in all of them. In a lot of them, there were issues with the way that they synchronized with Basecamp.
Okay.
Some of them, when you enter time using those systems, they record the time in that system, but they don't push that time back into Basecamp. So if you ever chose to leave one of those products, all of your history would be lost. So those were complaints that we were finding, and we would feel also as being very limiting. And so we really picked up on the need just based on the voice that was going on out there, the chatter, the buzz that was going on out there in the social channels, as well as on Basecamp's product blog. And I guess that's really the way that we measured how much opportunity there was in the market. We didn't do any kind of a formal survey of Basecamp user groups or anything like that. It was really just, hey, we need it. There's a lot of companies out there like us using Basecamp for the same reasons. Let's build it for ourselves, and let's see if we can gain some traction out there with other Basecamp users. And that's kind of where we are now.
Yeah, and I like the whole idea of finding a tool out there that you like. It does certain things that you like it to do, and then being able to put add-ons onto it to build the tool and the functionality. So I'm sure other entrepreneurs might be out there, that think, okay, there's certain tools that they have that they like, and they want to build, add-ons to it. What would be that process to them in regards to figuring out how to go about doing that, just based off your experience doing this for Basecamp?
Well, the first step is to determine what resources are required to create an add-on. And what are the limitations or terms and conditions to create an add-on for a product? Most SaaS applications like Google Apps for Domains, for example, Basecamp, even email marketing tools like ExactTarget and Constant Contact, they all have APIs that are available. And they encourage other developers to create tools that integrate with their systems, for the simple reason that they're now allowing other developers to extend their applications. They're not taking a great deal of risk in doing so. Yeah. And they're hopefully for them, and I think this is often the case, by allowing people to extend the functionality of those types of applications, they're creating more dependency on their core application. So it's less likely people will leave Basecamp, for example, if they've got a lot of people in there who now find added value in Basecamp as a result of using Timehawk. So the first step is really determining what the options are to extend an application. So the first thing you got to look at is to see if that application has an API available for it.
Just so that my audience who might not know what the API is but have this idea of building an add-on, what is an API? Let's go basic for them.
Well, my partner will laugh if I get the acronym incorrect, but I'm just going to take a shot at it anyway. It's Application Program Interface, I believe. Yeah. I might have it a little off here or there, but basically what it is, it's a roadmap of their source code that gives you the directions you need to hook into their system.
Okay.
To trigger things to happen within that other application. For example, Timehawk passes all of your time entries directly into Basecamp. So if you ever left Timehawk there isn't any loss of that recorded time. It's actually going to still be available in Basecamp.
Yeah.
So when you're recording time in Timehawk, through their API, we're connecting these pieces together, and we're pushing that information directly in where it needs to go. And so the API is really your roadmap to their source code.
Okay, so the first thing is learning the API for the tool that you might be thinking of building an add-on to. Then what is the next step?
Well, if you're a company like Red Hawk and we have software developers on staff, that's what we do.
Yeah.
The next step for us was fairly simple. It was just a matter of determining how much of our available resources we want to dedicate to the project. And going from there. For other companies, if they don't have a software developer on staff, then really their first step should be generating a desired feature list. What do we want this add-on to do? How do we want it to interact with this existing application? Take that information and you shop that around and talk to some other developers and find out what it's going to cost, and then that can give you the information you need to make those business decisions. You know, do I go get funding for this? Do we have the capital to invest in it? Are we going to see enough value out of this add-on to so that it makes sense for us to make the investment?
So basically, writing out kind of like a roadmap as to what that application should do, and then trying to find somebody who can take that understanding of what you put out on paper and turn it into something that's maybe the programmers can understand and actually go ahead and implement what you're saying.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, that's correct. And you know, there's the bidding process involved in that, and looking at timelines and understanding how much time it's going to take to execute. With Timehawk, we had about a year in development, and there's some learnings involved in that. And while we had Basecamp's API, we built Timehawk, and then we completely deconstructed it and built it again, because there's so many different ways to approach these types of add-ons. Your first pass at it may not be the most stable or the correct approach in terms of resources or demand. And I guess it's really another consideration that an entrepreneur should look at when thinking about developing an add-on for an existing application is, what are the ongoing costs for support? Okay. And how much of a revenue stream needs to be generated so that I'm realizing a profit margin and still have enough funding left over to support the application. And so we found ways in the second pass of development that really drove the need to develop it a second time of creating some efficiencies in the system so that it wasn't taxing the hosting environment, overly taxing that hosting environment.
Okay. And so let's say my listener now is someone who just has the general idea, and so is trying to find, write the ideas down and passing it on to someone else who can turn that idea into something that the programmers can understand. I'm trying to figure out, that person who doesn't have programming experience and has the need to build this add-on to a already established tool, what kind of people does he need to have in a team?
Well, that's a great question. Certainly you want folks that have a lot of experience in developing applications, because there are some best practices that need to be adhered to ensure that the work is going to be at the quality level that you need. And someone who has a proven process. At Red Hawk Technologies, we're a team of experts, and I don't want to self-promote here. I'd like to just answer the question, because there's so many companies like us out there, and certainly encourage shopping that opportunity around to a number of different companies. But listen closely to the groups that you're talking to and get an understanding of what their process is. There's a couple of key things you need to be listening for, and that is you want a systems architect. You want somebody on the team that's going to take that list of features that you want to have in place, and create a process diagram and identify very clearly what those requirements are in order to meet those needs. And then you need to have the senior software developer in place that can understand the existing application's API. Take the time to read it and make sure that what you're hoping to accomplish can be accomplished using that system's API. It's often the case that, and this is true with Basecamp, that an API is going to be available for that application. That doesn't mean that you can tie into everything that application does through that API. Okay. There are limits, and so really, you're going to, on your team, you're going to need somebody who understands how to look at the API of the existing add-on and compare that to your features list.
Okay.
I'm sorry, look at the API of the existing application.
Yeah.
And then compare that to your list of features that you have in mind for the add-on. And make sure that the API has the information necessary to accomplish what you have on your feature list. So it's going to require a senior developer, someone who has a lot of experience in developing process diagrams for applications.
Okay. So that's very good. And also the whole thing of now you have this, because I see a lot of people building these add-ons, and a lot of them have this mentality of just build out something, it doesn't work perfectly, but just put it out there, and let's get the feedback from the users, and we iterate based on that. So I want to get your feel for that whole mentality of doing, building apps like that. What's your feel on that?
Well, it's an interesting time for us all in regards to technology, and that's certainly a trend. And I think that's really evolved out of, companies like Google, for example. The sort of unwritten rule is that if you're going to develop web-based applications, and just throw it out there and see what sticks.
Yeah.
And you're going to kind of react to those users and then make apologies here and there and throw some tweaks out there, and hopefully you're doing rapid development.
Yeah.
Because I think people are a little bit more forgiving, your users are, if you're quickly addressing those tweaks and making adjustments. They're particularly unforgiving if you're charging for that. If you're not charging them specifically for modifications, but if you're charging for the application in the first place, and they suddenly discover they're part of a beta group, that's not good. We certainly wouldn't consider that best practice. And so I think that trend really evolved out of free web-based applications, the Twitters of the world, Facebook, Google Apps for Domains, Gmail, Yahoo Mail, all of those types of systems. The consumer tends to be a little bit more forgiving because they're free, and it's like, okay, well, what do you expect if you don't have to pay for it?
Yeah. Things
are going to be a little buggy, and gee, I can't wait. Hopefully, they're going to add some new features, and then you're supporting that dialogue with your user group through forums and discussion threads, and you're using social channels to keep the communication going. I think that's okay. Certainly would advise against that. Leveraging that philosophy and going into application development, thinking that it is okay, unless you're going to give away the service for free at first.
Okay. Okay.
I really think that, if it's something that is in development, you need to get user feedback. Invite a group of beta users. Set them up with access. Formalize the process a bit. Let them use it for free. Let them give you that feedback. They'll go into it understanding that things aren't always going to work perfectly. But they understand that because they're invited to the party, as it were, as a beta user.
Yes.
And we did that with Timehawk. We had a half dozen companies using the system as a beta group over that 90 days prior to launch, just beating it up. And it was interesting that we came back with a list of wish list items.
Wow.
And it wasn't so much commentary on how Timehawk currently functions as it was, gee, this is where we would like to see it go.
Okay. Okay.
We had very little in the way of bugs because we pretty much addressed all of that through internal beta testing before we released it to the group.
Okay.
So I think having a beta group is absolutely critical. The difference is you blast it out there and you start doing a marketing push, and everybody that comes into the system at first, if they're beta and they don't know it, that's bad.
So basically, what the point I'm getting from you is, if it's beta, let everybody know it's beta, and have them know that you want their feedback. You need the feedback so that you can build upon the information that they give to you. So how do you actually start that process of actually getting the word out there that you have a beta for an add-on that you want to have people come and test for you?
Sure. Well, you think in traditional marketing terms when it comes to that. You know, understand your audience, know where they're spending their time, and then find out what your opportunities are in those locations where they're spending time to market to them. And sometimes that's more guerrilla marketing tactics, finding the forums where people are talking about the product that you created the add-on for,
Yeah.
and registering and creating a voice for yourself in those environments. And sometimes it's doing searches in Twitter and reaching out directly to those types of users. In our case,
Okay.
and I think this would hold true for most entrepreneurs looking at developing an add-on for an existing application, find out what the opportunities are for from the company that has the primary application. In this case, it's Basecamp, developed by 37 Signals. So within the first week of launching Timehawk, I reached out to the developers at 37 Signals, and they already had some great channels. They've got the add-ons page on Basecamp. They gave us a listing there right off the bat, which was terrific. And they also have a Basecamp product blog.
Okay.
And so we shared our story with them and provided them some screenshots and demonstrated the product, and they wrote a nice article and linked directly to Timehawk from their product blog for Basecamp.
Oh, that's nice.
It was terrific, and looked at the website statistics today, and over 40% of our website visitors to Timehawk, to Timehawk.net, are coming from Basecamp.
Okay.
So they're coming from 37 Signals product blog and from their add-ons page.
And did you get them to help you, provide you with some beta testers?
You know, we didn't. We actually reached out to some companies that we were aware of in the greater Cincinnati area and asked them to participate. And everybody was willing and able that we reached out to, with the exception of a handful of those companies. So we were able to find Basecamp users within our area and just pick up the phone and call them. And some of these companies we'd already been doing business with on other projects. And so and we didn't want too large of a sample. And I think that's important to note as well, that you know, everybody has opinions, and opinions are very important. But you don't want to have too much noise to try and weave through. And there's a difference between qualitative research and quantitative research, right? So when you're beta testing, and something as simple as Timehawk, because there's not a whole lot of features to Timehawk, right? It's not an overly complex add-on. In our case, it was much more, became much more qualitative research, in that people were letting us know how they felt about the screens, how easy was it to use, what are some additional features they'd like to see, as opposed to more straightforward beta testing where they're just looking to uncover bugs, say, hey, this part's not working.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah,
so you know, that really depends very much on the add-on and the complexity of the product that you're developing as to how far you need to go with that, and how formal should the process be.
And you make a very good point. And the thing is, okay, now you're getting all this feedback, and you already have an idea of what you want the product to do. How do you mix that and pick and choose what feedback needs to be? You understand the point?
Absolutely. You know, you have to look at someone's request for a feature enhancement and determine, is that really something that the larger audience is going to see as a benefit, or is this a feature request that is very specific to the way in which this individual handles their business? So you definitely have to look at that very carefully and weigh that before you determine whether or not to create that feature. If there's a significant opportunity for it to be seen as a value add to the broader audience, then by all means you should probably go for it, because they're really telling you something of value. And sometimes it's pretty easy to see the difference. And sometimes it requires a bit more dialogue. And so when they ask you for a feature like that, you should definitely follow up and ask them to weight that feature in terms of their willingness to adopt the product, the add-on. Is this something you see as a must-have, a nice-to-have, gee, this is just an idea that I came up with. You know, how would you rate this feature? And really the next step for us is, with Timehawk, is we're going to take some of these additional feature requests. We'll go out as our user base grows. We're not going to do this tomorrow or even next week. It's probably going to be about 6 months down the road, and we've got a broader base of subscribers. We'll go out and survey those subscribers and put these feature requests in front of them, the ones that we already know, that we've vetted out as these look like a good idea. And we'll ask them as a group, respond to the survey and rate those features, and then get them engaged, get them excited about what's coming next, and then quickly roll out an update.
So I take it that you already know what your core users will be like, you know, what their core needs are from the beginning, and when you start getting this request, you're measuring the request to, you know, how does it fit with that core user, right?
That's correct. Yeah, absolutely. And in some cases, it's not always going to be a good fit, and that may mean that there's a certain segment of Basecamp users out there that just won't adopt Timehawk. But you know, we're kind of subscribing to the same philosophy that 37 Signals did, and you know, make the really important stuff really easy, and don't worry about the hard stuff at first. Let's get everybody excited about the product, get them using what they need to be able to use, and keep it simple, keep it inexpensive, and see if that addresses the majority of the user base out there. And then, you know, you can start to add more specifics later. Basecamp's great about feature enhancements. They've done some great things just over the past few months that we're certainly seeing as advantages.
Yeah.
And we plan on doing the same thing with Timehawk.
Definitely. And even what you even said I liked about that is now that you've figured out, okay, which of the suggestions match with your core audience, you're now taking those suggestions back to the audience and trying to get them to rate the suggestions. So you only take the ones that, you know, go up to the audience likes the most. You're not picking everything.
That's absolutely correct. Yeah, yeah, and that's just the right way to go about it, because you're going to be making an investment in executing those feature enhancements and taking the product to the next level. And so you want to focus on the ones that are going to generate the best ROI. In our case, and I think this is true for a lot of software as a service business models, we're going to continue to add value to the product without affecting the core subscription price. And so the game for us is increase adoption and add value. And so ROI is not going to be measured by an increase in subscription fees. It's going to be measured in adoption of some of those users perhaps that we missed because we didn't have that one additional feature that they were looking for. And it's certainly going to be in retention of existing users because we're continuing to add value. And so that comes down to just a matter of measurement as a business owner. How much return on investment am I going to or likely to realize based on adding this feature? So, and you certainly need to understand the cost of development.
Oh, definitely.
Do that, yeah.
So I'm trying to figure out now, you know, getting clients, getting users to the tool. What kind of funnel do you guys have? You know, from free, you know, just walk us through so that we can understand if one of the users was trying to go out there and create an app for themselves, what kind of metrics and funnels do they have to be paying attention to to get them from free to actually paid?
Well, I think that the entrepreneur needs to very carefully look at market potential. And looking at the parent application, in this case it's Basecamp. For them it might be Google Apps, might be Constant Contact, ExactTarget, whatever it happens to be. Yeah. How much of the market share do they have for that specific service offering? Mm-hmm. And that gives you at least an idea of your market potential for marketing the add-on. And if there's an existing add-on and you're going to be competing in that space, what is unique about your add-on? What's the additional set of features that are available that's going to make yours stand out? And then it's difficult. It's all educated guesses, really. Yeah. How likely are you to get people who are already using a competing add-on to adopt yours instead, right? Because now you're fighting for market share. And so you've got to certainly look at those potentials, market potentials first, and do your homework, and then decide whether or not it makes sense to continue. If it does make sense to continue, then I think your next step is, as we mentioned earlier and kind of discussed a little bit, find the right partner to help you with the development, get the costs figured out, and then also look at the marketing expenses. Are you going to really use guerrilla marketing tactics like we discussed with Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn? Are there LinkedIn user groups for this particular product you're developing an add-on for? That's an additional channel that may be available to you. The funnel, I guess, as you were asking, Owen, really is how do you go from free to paid?
Yeah.
I guess that really depends specifically on the application as to what that is. Typically, what that's going to be is a limited feature set for free users, and as long as they're happy with that limited feature set, they're always free. And so typically the funnel process would be that you've got some enhanced or added features that you make available for a fee. In fact, Basecamp does have a free level of subscription available. But it's fairly limited, and it's only going to work for really small companies with very limited number of projects, and then some of the features are also limited. So free to paid, think of it in terms of limiting feature set, and see if that can be enough of a feature set that it gets the user group or your target audience at least excited about the application and excited about, I'm going to reach out. I'm going to start paying $20 a month. I'm willing to do this because now I've got this additional feature which really makes all the difference to me. And that additional feature needs to be something that is, available like that. If they choose to upgrade, you've got to have the tools available through the application itself for them to upgrade their account and realize that benefit immediately. And then you can market through that free channel. So if they're using the application on a regular basis at the free subscription level, you definitely want to have a location in that application, whether it's a place for a banner ad or a call out on the sidebar, something along those lines where you can continue to deliver the message, upgrade now, take advantage of this coupon code, something like that, so that you have your own marketing channel for your existing free subscriber base.
Okay. I like that idea. And also, in terms of getting them to come, they've signed up for the free tool now, getting them to come back to use it, I guess that's kind of retention. What kind of tips and strategies can you share with us on that?
Well, you hope that the add-on is adding enough value that they're going to be using it, and retention really isn't an issue. It certainly comes back to the specifics of what that add-on is, and what exactly does it do for that user group, and is it something that they need to come back to monthly because it's just a reporting system and there's no sense in generating a report every day? Well, then you should probably have a marketing program in place that includes an email marketing component to remind them.
Yes.
Hey, it's time. You haven't generated a report in 28 days. Generate a report now with a link in the email campaign to drive them back. And then you should track that as well to see what the effectiveness is of those marketing campaigns. In the case of Timehawk, it's day-to-day, it's time entry. And so our users are using it
every day,
all day long. And so if they sign up for a free trial account, and we don't see any activity after the initial log on, we know we've probably already lost them.
Yeah.
And then what we do is we'll reach out to them after a few days and say, we saw that you signed up for the free account. What do you think? And we let them react to that. And typically it's for us, it's been, they sign up for the free trial. It's a fully functioning feature set for us. It's not free and then we upgrade them to a subscription. It's just the first 30 days is free, and you can cancel it any time. So we try to get people to engage, see the entire feature set. If there's something there that's missing for them, they'll typically go ahead and cancel the account. If they haven't canceled the account and it's still in a free trial mode and there's not a lot of activity,
Yeah.
we take the time to follow up with them. Now, right now, for us, we've only just launched this product 4 weeks ago, and we've got a decent user group now. And so it's easy for us to do one-to-one communications. We can take the time to pick up the phone and reach out to those users and have that conversation. As you gain volume and momentum, well, then your follow-up needs to be personalized email campaign that reaches out to them. First names included. You personalize the message, but you segment that group so that you can see, here's my list. I'm going to send this message to them, and then I'm going to follow up directly with those that react to that call to action in that email campaign. And the rest of them, you just have to be willing to let go.
So basically, from what I'm getting from you is you the people who are using the tool who are not using it as the way they should be using it, then you're contacting those people to find out, okay, why are you not using it? You should be going to use the tool. And then those people who actually decide not to use the tool, as maybe they're signing out and they're not using the tool anymore, they're canceling, then you're still at the point of them canceling, contacting them to find out why did they cancel, because that might be an additional insight for you.
Yes, absolutely, and we do reach out to those folks that cancel, and sometimes we give responses, and sometimes we don't. Now, we do have a required field when you go into your account to cancel from Timehawk, where they indicate a reason.
Okay.
But they can put in whatever they want, and if they don't want to engage in dialogue because they just don't want to, well, typically they'll just put some gibberish in there, and we know that they're not probably going to be comfortable talking with us again, but we'll reach out to them anyway and see where it goes.
Wow, I really enjoyed the interview because I've learned a lot about how do you go out there, see an app that you like, and build something on top of it. I'm sure my audience will want to get a hold of you. So how can they get in contact with you, Matt?
Well, there's two ways they can reach out to us. If they're interested in Timehawk, they should go to timehawk.net. There's a free video demonstration. The first 30 days are free. We encourage people to sign up. Integration with Basecamp happens at the moment you log on and synchronize, and it's extremely easy to do, and you can realize the value of the product right there and decide if you want to stick around or not. If you'd like to talk with Red Hawk Technologies to help you with a specific add-on that maybe you're thinking about developing for a product, well, we're also in the business of web application development. I would encourage your viewers to go to redhawk-tech.com. To our website, and you can see some examples of other projects we've developed.
Thank you very much for coming on the interview. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Owen.
Okay. Okay, we're done. So what do you think about the interview?
It was fun, I enjoyed that a lot, and hopefully it's going to be some value to you, and I appreciate the opportunity.
It's actually valuable to me because I'm actually thinking of building some add-on apps to different tools that I'm using, and so I always tell people one of the reasons I'm doing this interview is to learn. It's kind of like an MBA in front of Skype.
Yeah, sure.
And you're learning from people, but at the same time sharing the ideas with your audience. So it was a good interview. It's it's important to me because I'm trying to build something, and I'm learning just by having talk to you about it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Absolutely.
I hope you definitely enjoyed the interview because I did enjoy it myself.
Great. Yeah, it was great fun. Where are you located, Owen?
I'm located in Maryland.
Yeah. Okay. Good. How's business going for you with the virtual assistants?
Going great.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, right now I'm working on redesigning my website because one of the things I'm finding out is, when you're learning about all this whole entrepreneurship thing, branding also matters. To me, it was just get it out there. They will understand. But somebody came to me and told me like a couple of weeks ago, like, we like what you do. It's just that when you go to the website, it doesn't give us the feel that the service matches what you say it is. So I said, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and do this redesign and make it more maybe Web 2.0 Philly kind of, make it better, because I guess that's what I need to get the idea out there that, you can do your business, but at the same time, there's outsourcing, there's virtual assistants that can help bring down some of this costs. And let's help you with that.
Right, right, yeah, and yeah, that's branding and getting the image right is just huge. It's easy to underestimate that when you get very focused on what your service offering is, and you're very focused on what you do in delivering value to your clients. But yeah, I would agree. Checking out your website and stuff, I'm like, oh, it's more sophisticated than this. It's a matter of credentialing, really. And that's really the first thing people do when they check out or hear about a company. They're going to go look at your website, and they immediately get a sense of sophistication.
Yeah. So that's one of the things I'm working on doing right now. Cool. I just can't wait till it's completely done. And what I'm going to make this interview be about how to build an add-on to your favorite app, because that would just hit it on the head of what the interview is about. Gives you a chance to be the expert, and hopefully they can connect with you to come and work with Red Hawk to do their apps too. Yeah,
that sounds great. Appreciate that very much, Owen.
Thank you for coming on the show, and you have a good day. And what I'm going to do is, as soon as I have the interview ready, I'll send it out to you. You can check it out and share with your audience, and get them talking about it. Okay, great. I'll do that. Thanks, Owen. Thank you very much, Matt. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed today's interview. And before you go, I want you to do me a favor. I'm trying to build my community of entrepreneurs who find my content useful on Facebook, so we can engage, have discussions live right there on Facebook. And to get to my page on Facebook, you go to www.facebook.com/HYVASSISTANT. And again, it's www.com. What am I saying? No, it's www.facebook.com/HYVASSISTANT. And when you get there, what you're going to do is look for a button that says like, and you click on that button, and then basically you become a fan of the page. It's that simple. You don't even have to leave me your email. Just click on the button that says like. And again, the page to go to is www.facebook.com/HYVASSISTANT. And that stands for HYVAssistant. Real easy. I look forward to seeing you on Facebook. Have a great day.